Good evening, and thank you so much for coming. This is wonderful to see you all of you in person, and hello to everybody on Zoom up there. So give them all a wave. There we go. Special welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. This is the South Dayton Democratic Club, and we are a very active and involved group of folks here in the south of the Dayton area. I hope everybody has had a wonderful summer, and that everybody is now getting ready to elect our Democratic candidates. They need help, they need money, they need you walking, and anything that you can do. This is not a normal election. This
really?
This is becoming ever increasingly about a democracy. This is not just policy anymore. This is about who we are as a state and who we are as a country. So it really is vital that everybody here talks to everybody in their family and everybody in their friend circles and make sure that they get out and vote. It's really important. Folks at the back, do you want to get more chairs? I'm going to have to move David a little bit.
Is this the chair door?
Yes.
Of course.
There's a little card, David. Sorry.
This is going to be a long
Grab a chair. There's a chair here.
Hey.
a couple of chairs at the front.
No, I don't need one. Thank you.
While we're waiting for that, I hope all of you are listening to this wonderful exhibit. One of our Oakwood residents, Angelina Jackson, is a professor of geography at Sinclair College, and this is her work, and it is about the effects of redlining. So even though you won't have time to really absorb it, it is here for a while, so do come back and take some time to read what Jackie and her students have come up with here. We're going to stand. We do not have a flag, but we always pretend this corner. So we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
pledging allegiance to the exit sign. We have the Treasurer's report next, so Tim.
Yes, Madam President. Thank you. This is the Treasurer's report for September the 7th, 2022. In 2022, SDDC has made donations to the campaigns of these local Democratic candidates: Bruns, Addison Caruso, Angelina Jackson, Carolyn Rice, Karl, David Esrati, Tony Schoen, Meg Obermann. We also paid $100 to Nan Whaley's campaign. US Bank current account stands at $2,708.85. You can pay dues online at montgomerydems.org. Join a club, South Dayton Democratic Club. Our one-time dues are $12 for an individual or $18 for a family. Thank you very much.
Or however much you'd like to give us.
Yes, as much as you like.
Can I have a motion to accept the Treasurer's report? Larry Dwyer, and a second? Second, Kevin Hall. And all in favour? members who braved a 100-degree-plus evening to attend our picnic in June. We had a really good turnout, which surprised Karl. He thought it would be empty. We are tough here in South Dayton, and lots of things going, so it was pretty comfortable. We were in good shape. Just a little bit of new business. As many of you might know, our former Vice President, Chris Hatcher, and Kurt, his husband, they have had to move out of state. Kurt got a wonderful job back at Allegheny College in the sustainability area, and that's what he graduated in and where he graduated from. So he has gone back to his home college to help them with that. So it has left us with a membership vacuum. So I don't have a vice president right now, and that's one of the reasons actually why this meeting is not on our normal night, because Chris was going to run it on our normal night because I'll be in England, but so that's why we moved it a little early. I did have a number of members recommend someone for this position. She's not here this evening, she's on vacation, but they recommended Kim Sept for us. And for those of you who know Kim, she's been in libraries, work, and she is a go-getter. She's someone who works with Rotary. She has contacts. So anyone who can get some good people for us to speak, I will go with that. She's going to bring energy and some new ideas to our club, which is always good. She's willing to step in and do the work, but of course, if there is anybody else who would like to nominate, yes?
I would like to make a motion that we accept Kim as a candidate.
So we have a motion to accept Kim. Is there a second? Okay, Tim is going to second that. Do I have any other nominations on the floor? All right, then we will vote on Kim Sept for us as Vice President of the South Dayton Democratic Club. All those in favor? Aye.
This again.
All right. She'll be pleased to know that because she was excited. So she's now the duly elected, and she does know about it. I haven't done it. She is the duly elected Vice President of the SDC. One more thing, many of you know my porch. It usually is the repository for all the candidate signs, and it makes it very easy for people in the South to just come and pick up all the free signs normally. As I've said, we'll be in England until October 20th. So I was worried. What are we going to do? But thankfully, there's always someone who steps up, and Vicki Hamilton-Smith has stepped up in Oakwood to be the person who will hold signs for all of the candidates. Those of us in Oakwood will be getting out letters to all of our Democratic folks with that information, so they will be coming and picking those up from Vicki's backyard. So if you have not met Vicki and she hasn't got your information, then Vicki's please go ahead and make sure you see her before she goes. She's also one of our precinct captains. For those of you here, she is at 593 Acorn Drive, which is the corner of Acorn and Oakwood, correct? And it's a lovely cream-colored farmhouse, isn't it? Cream Cape Cod. Cream Cape Cod. So that's where she will be. Kim, again, has actually volunteered, Kim Sept for us, has volunteered to have her porch as a distribution center as well. That is in the Centerville area. And so for those of you who live a little farther south, she lives It's at 161 Poinciana Drive in Centerville. This information will be in our minutes, so you can look at that again, and it was in the email that I sent out. Nan Whaley signs will be for sale. They are going to be $6. They will be for sale at the MCDP headquarters, apparently starting on Monday. But I suggest you call 937-222-4007 just to make sure and to check up on dates and times that they'll be there. We don't want you going all the way downtown and finding that gate is locked. And there's an ODP campaign headquarters, they've just got it, so they're getting up and running at 1343 Woodman Drive. They also will have yard signs for candidates. They quite often have yard signs for the Supreme Court justices and things like that. So all of those places will be available for you to get the yard signs. I know people say yard signs don't vote, and they don't. But especially for people who don't have name recognition, they are invaluable because, believe me, we've worked the polls. A lot of people do very little research, and if they have seen a lot of signs, that sometimes sways their decision as to who they vote for. You know, sad as that might be. But so if you could, and what I usually do is I have everybody signs, and you know, Oakwood of course has rules. So I do them in rotation because you're not allowed to have 4 or 3 signs. Or sometimes I'll do back to back and I can get 6 signs. You see 3 going up the street. So, but if you can do that, if you can get yard signs, please go and see Vicky or, you know, call up MCDP headquarters. All right, we're now going to move on to our most important part of the evening, and that's our local Democratic candidates. Firstly, I want to thank them all for stepping into the fray and running. Running for office is a huge commitment. It takes time, it takes enormous effort, energy, money. It really is quite something. And so these folks are my heroes, especially those who have done it over and over and over again. So you know, this is really quite something that people do this for us. Again, as I say, let's support them in as many ways as we can. Yard signs, canvassing, donating money. We even have postcard parties, and I believe I saw Mike, there he is, Mike back there who came up with this. I kind of helped him get going with that, and you know, this is a way to get out to those folks that we don't normally reach, and you can just get together with a few friends, have a glass of wine, do a little coloring, do a little chatting, and
Have another glass of wine.
And you know, there's 50 people that we can contact straight away. No cost to these folks. They don't have to be involved. Just one more way to get the word out, especially for those precincts that don't have a precinct captain. It's really good that they know who is running. So if you're interested in that, Mike is at the back there. We're going to give each candidate a maximum of 5 minutes to talk. And I thought, how am I going to do this? You know, age before beauty. Or, you know, so I thought, let's do it alphabetical because, you know, that's good. And then after they've all had a chance to speak, and Tim is just going to give you a little wave if you go over your 5. After they've all spoken, there'll be a chance for asking some questions.
It's not going to be a wave, it's going to be a raspberry.
Okay.
more than I expected, so thank you very much. I am Julie Bruns. I am running for juvenile court judge. The Honorable Anthony Capizzi is retiring at the end of the year, so his seat will be open, and I'm running for that seat. I have been an attorney for 26 years. For 20 of those, I have spent it in juvenile court. So my passion clearly is in juvenile court. I was an assistant prosecuting attorney for 23 years before I became a magistrate in juvenile court, where I've been for 3.5. So it was quite a change for me. I went from prosecuting criminal cases to now I'm doing civil custody cases. So I morphed into a new Julie Bruns when I started doing civil cases. But it was the best decision I could have made, especially since I'm running for judge. So now I know both sides of that law. As I indicated, my passion is juvenile court. I have been involved in many different initiatives. I was involved with a juvenile detention alternative initiative. It's called JDAI. I was picked from the prosecutor's office to be one of the people to be on that program. I also created a nationally recognized sexting diversion program. I don't know how many of you are familiar with sexting, but about 7 or 8 years ago, it was a real problem with our kids. And the only thing that we had were felonies to charge them with. So I went to my boss and I said, hey, we need to do something because these are consensual exchanges of pictures between these kids and we're charging them with felonies. That doesn't really seem right. So we came up with a program that is still up and running and was actually featured in Redbook. And so I got calls from all over the country because we were one of the first places to come up with that program. So I'm proud of that. And I think that's some of the good work that we're doing in juvenile court. As I indicated before, I'm currently a magistrate doing civil custody cases. So I run the gamut pretty much in juvenile court. As a prosecutor, I prosecuted adult felonies and then also juvenile felonies. But now what I'm doing is very rewarding, and it's making me understand that we have to come up with continued programs for our juveniles, because the majority of the juveniles that we get are, even if we do have to sentence them to some sort of detention, are coming back out into our community. Judge Capizzi and Judge Wallace have done a terrific job in coming up with alternative programs for these kids, because what we're finding out is it starts at home. We all know that. And if we just take kids out and put them right back in the same environment that they came from, we're not changing anything. So the goal is to create some change and to keep these programs that are already running, develop other programs that can benefit kids, to make our communities safer and to make these kids productive citizens. That's our goal, always, is to keep our community safe and to make our kids good citizens of Montgomery County. So that's why I am running. I hope I can have your support and get out and vote on November 8th, and hopefully I'll be the next juvenile court judge. Am I asking if they have questions? Or do we?
Well, you can. You're still within the
Okay.
5 minutes.
Anybody have any questions? Okay.
It's a minute 15 to go.
Okay. All right.
Nope, I was pointing you out.
So I know this is tricky, I don't know how to frame it, but I'm wondering what your stances on reproductive rights are, or at least your commitments to trying to, or not to, support what that looks like in protecting access to
Well,
them.
as a judicial candidate, I am actually forbidden from commenting on that, so I can't really comment. So, but to give you a little bit of background, so that I do have a little bit of time left, I am a Miami University grad. I went to UU Law School and did my law school there. I have 2 daughters, one who is a social worker currently, and the other one who is in her junior year at Miami to become a teacher. So, both of my parents were teachers. In fact, my father was the principal at my high school when I went there. So, luckily, I like to follow the rules, and so I did not end up in his office to ask for my lunch money. So, I come from a family of public servants. I have been a public servant since I started working, and so I would like to carry that forward with regard to the juvenile court judge position. So, thank you all for your time.
Okay, next alphabetically is Addison Caruso, who is running for state representative in this district,
Yes.
36 now.
Yes, right in the 36 right here. So first off, thank you everyone for coming out. As Julie said, this is a really amazing turnout, and so I appreciate you all taking some time out of your Wednesday nights to come hear all of these, what I think are great candidates talk, so thank you very much. As Allison said, my name is Addison Caruso, and I'm the Democratic candidate for District 36. What is District 36? Because who knows really besides the candidates? It's Oakwood, Kettering, parts of Dayton, so namely East Dayton, and then a little bit of West Dayton up to the VA, and kind of down a little bit of Jefferson Township, and then down to Moraine. Then it includes Moraine. So it's kind of a boomerang. It's a weird looking district, but it's actually the most competitive district in the Dayton area, and one of the most competitive in the state. So there's a real chance to hold Republicans accountable in Columbus and do some real good. And the reason I decided to run is just because, frankly, as I'm sure many people are here, sick and tired of what's going on in Columbus. Republicans are passing a divisive and unpopular agenda that benefits a radical few and not everyday Ohioans. And this is with the gun legislation where they passed the permitless carry and armed teachers, that crazy 6-week abortion ban that caused that girl to go to Indiana to get an abortion, that 10-year-old. And then the whole redistricting crisis too, where they wasted over $20 million to have 2 primaries because they wouldn't follow the Constitution. They think they don't have to be accountable to voters. I think they do, and I think Ohioans know that they should. And so really why I'm running is because I want to bring representatives that want to be public servants and represent everyday Ohioans back to the State House. My whole life has been public service. When I was young, I volunteered at Carolyn Park, starting in 4th grade as a docent teaching about Dayton history. And we volunteered at the Feast of Giving each year. In college, I did social justice work for our local Hillel there. And then in law school, I did a bunch of clinics where we helped low-income and nonprofit groups with environmental issues get representation there. And then my current job is I'm a legal aid attorney, where we help low-income and indigent individuals stay in their homes and help them find new homes that they needed, doing that eviction defense work. So it's been a constant in my life, and I want to bring that same spirit of public service and giving back to the community to the State House. And what that means is I want to focus on 3 big things. Of course, there are many others, but kind of the 3 things I think are really important are education. I'm a proud public school graduate, and I've seen our state consistently defund our public schools and shift those costs more and more onto taxpayers. Public education is the backbone of our country, and it's a great equalizer, and we need to make sure our state supports our public schools. Energy stability is also really important. We've had roving blackouts in Columbus this past summer because our state has not invested in the energy grid. This includes investing in green energy, which create union jobs, and also are more affordable, more stable, and they're the future, and Ohio is ignoring that. And then just personally, as a legal aid attorney, housing is something that's very important to me. As a young person, though not, this affects everyone, housing prices are increasingly out of control. Rental prices have gone up, and our state has to do more to help people like myself and other people, no matter your age, who want to invest in their communities and build a life and be involved in their communities. And that starts with making housing more affordable. Those are just a few of the issues. I said, I think at the end of the day, we just need more public servants and people will listen to their constituents and want to respond and be there for the constituents in the State House. This is the most competitive district, so we have a real shot. And again, I'd ask that you come out and vote for me on November 8th. We can really do this. I don't have any signs, but I do have a sign-up sheet. We just ordered our signs this past weekend, so they should be coming in soon. So if you'd like a sign, you can put your street address up here. We also have some t-shirts as well if people want a t-shirt as well. So again, I really appreciate everyone coming out, and I ask for your vote November 8th. Thank you.
Minute 3 seconds.
Yeah, I was actually recently endorsed by Planned Parenthood, so abortion access is something that's really important. That's a personal health care decision. The state should stay out of it. So I think it's fairly simple with that. Yeah.
Are you aware or informed about the first energy scandal?
Yes.
What will your role be with regard to addressing that?
I mean, I think the first thing is we're still sending $200,000 a year to bailing out an Indiana coal plant that's failing, so I think we really need to stop that and just end up repealing and getting rid of all vestiges. And it's unfortunate that it seems like a lot of the same people that were involved in the first energy scandal haven't been punished and they're still in office. I know Governor DeWine appointed some people who were involved into the Public Utilities Commission recently. And so I think just as a state legislature too, I can use my bully pulpit, use the platform that I'm given to speak out on those issues and bring attention to it, even if there isn't as much you can do legislatively. So I think there's a lot that legislators can and should do. Thank you very much for both your questions.
There's more time at the end,
Yes.
probably. I just want to make sure everybody has got some time. So David Esrati, running for Congressional District 10 against Mike Turner.
I'm going up here because that way I can tell that I'm in the frame of the camera. Okay? Because I use a camera a lot. If you don't know me, I'm David Esrati, and I've been running for office for a long time. And I've been speaking up about injustices and especially transparency in government in our community. I don't think we've done a very good job at representing the people. We still have a lot of kids that go to bed who don't know where their next meal is coming from. We have schools that are failing. We have replaced a big union employer with a non-union employer down in Moraine and put a lot of tax dollars behind it. We have seen our city ravaged by big corporations leaving, and we keep hearing about economic development from Mike Turner, and he works for the base. And the only thing that's increased has been the number of defense contractors. And while that's great and fine, I was a veteran. I am a veteran. I know a lot of veterans, and I don't want any more disabled veterans in this country. I don't want to be fighting wars forever. There's this thing called statesmanship, and the last president was probably the worst at it. There is a need for a change in the way elected representatives work. It's called respect of your voters. That means you have town halls. Mike Turner hasn't had one in 20 years. It means you engage with people. It means you tell them what's on your mind and you get feedback. And I've been doing that since 2005 on my citizen journalism project called Esrati.com. If you search almost anything controversial in Dayton, since then, you will probably find something posted there. Now, I have a real problem with things like pepper spraying inmates in 7-point restraint chairs. That's against the Geneva Convention. That's not just a violation of local law. That's international law. That's human decency. And the guy who did it is now going to be, more than likely, the Speaker of the Ohio House. Mike Turner didn't have a problem with it. I did. I broke the second story of it. I think we can do better at treating and respecting our citizens in all forms. Okay? Your employer shouldn't pick your health care, and you shouldn't be locked in to a job because you can't switch insurance companies because of pre-existing conditions of your spouse. You shouldn't have to buy insulin at $1,000 a month when in every other country it's $25 a month. Mike Turner voted twice against the Affordable Insulin Act. Mike Turner never should have been our mayor. He shouldn't have been our congressman either. I ran against him when he ran for mayor, and I heard what he said, and I'm constantly on a campaign trail. People would confuse the two of us because we were two unknown white guys who were kind of tall. Both of us had hair back then, and both of us had glasses. He arrested me for a silent protest in the commission meeting. It took 2.5 years to resolve. The newspaper never really got the story right, and a lot of people didn't get the story right. But the fact of the matter is, what the problem is our government has these things called work sessions that are not in the charter, and they were doing it weekly. There's no transparency in that. You're supposed to conduct your business in public. And I've tried to stress that. But all that, you know, that sort of stuff from before. What am I going to do as a congressman? Well, so far, I'm the first non-lawyer to stand up in front of you. We have a tendency to elect lawyers to political office thinking that lawyers make good laws. And I can tell you, for the most part, I don't agree with that. If you look at the Ohio Sunshine Laws, there are they wouldn't pass a 4th grade English grade. It's horribly written. It's impossible to make track of what's going on. Lawyers are good at plagiarizing. It's the only career I know where you are actually given bonus points for plagiarism. Okay, they're not original thinkers. They might put pieces together a little more originally, but in general, they don't think creatively. I think we need somebody in Congress that can actually figure out creative ways to say things. One of the reasons Republicans have been able to message, I got 7 seconds. Because they come up with things like the death taxes. Just so you know, if you donate to my campaign, I've got these shirts. You can see them. One says elections, not auctions. One says do something. And I have a bumper sticker here for the first person to raise their hand. Oh well. Nobody raised their hand. Nobody wants voting Republican kills Americans? Come on. What kind of Democrats are you? My literature's over here and my sign-up sheets are right here. Thank you.
Alright, we're going alphabetically. So, Angelina Jackson, running for judge of Pleas. And welcome, Angelina.
Thank you so very much. I apologize for coming in late this evening. I was coming from another event. Thank you all for coming this evening again. My name is Angelina Jackson. I am running for the Court of Common Pleas General Division along with Tony Schoen. A little bit about me. This community is my home. I was born and raised in the city of Dayton. In fact, my family has been here since the 1800s. I'm raising 2 daughters in this community, and I care about the health and safety and well-being of this community. And that's why, after practicing law for almost 18 years, I decided to run for judge in the Court of Common Pleas. Now, I have a professional background that I believe will serve our community well. Currently, I am employed as an assistant Montgomery County public defender, where I represent individuals who are charged with crimes who cannot afford an attorney in the trial and appellate courts of Montgomery County. I also have several years of experience in civil and civil rights litigation and criminal justice reform work. Most of the work that I've done over my legal career has been focused on representing poor, low income, and marginalized people, and that is something that I am very proud of. And so, let me talk to you a little bit about what I believe. I believe that all people are equal under the law. I believe that all people deserve to have their voice heard, and I believe that our community deserves a bench that is representative of the people that it serves. I think that public defenders and other public interest lawyers have very valuable professional experience. We do intellectually challenging work, and we should be sitting on the bench alongside our colleagues from the prosecutor's office, private practice, and academia. Now, currently in Montgomery County, we have 11 sitting judges, and none of those judges had a career as a public defender before coming to the bench. Also, in our court, we do not have a woman of color as a sitting judge. And I believe that as a community, we can do better. I think that I will bring much needed lived and professional diversity to the bench. Now, there are some values that make up the foundation of my campaign. These are my belief in human dignity, in inclusivity, and dedication to the fair and equitable administration of justice. And I know that in this community, we can have both justice and accountability as long as we have judges who are acting with integrity and with transparency and fidelity to the rule of law. And if I am elected, these are the values that I would bring with me to the bench. And so I am trying to do my part for the well-being of the community that I was born and raised in and that I love very much. And these elections are very important. Our local judges matter. They make decisions that not only impact the individuals and entities who are standing in the court, but their decisions impact our community as a whole. And so what I would like to ask of you this evening is that if you share in the values that I've referenced tonight, that you consider not only supporting me by voting for me on November 8th, but that you get involved in whatever way you see fit. Maybe that's canvassing, maybe it's a yard sign, maybe it's just a conversation with friends and family about how critical and how important judges are to the health of our community. I very much appreciate your time. I'm happy to take any questions, and I also will have a sign-up sheet and some literature.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you and Tony Schoen running against each other, or are there two
No,
positions?
Shame.
there are two positions, and I apologize. It probably would have been a good idea for me to clarify that at the outset. We are the two Democrat candidates for the 2 seats that are going to be on the ballot for the general election, for the general division. I am running against Robert Hanseman, and I will let Tony talk about his election. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much.
All right, and next up, someone that we all know, because every time we fill up our guest stand, we see his name. Here's our county auditor, Karl.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's great to see such a great turnout. You know, I'm one of those candidates that's run many times, and
But you win.
I've won some, and I've lost some. But it's always nice when you go to candidates night and the number of people in the audience outnumber the candidates. That's not always. So thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Karl Keith. I'm the Montgomery County Auditor, and I am not an attorney. I did want to make a comment about the Equity Summit and the vestiges of redlining. Earlier this year, my office had a quilt that we had on display that was made as a result of this Equity Summit at St. Clair Community College. It was the 1937 redlining quilt. And it was hanging in our office because our GIS department helped provide a template for the ladies who created this work of art. And it is an amazing piece. And I would encourage you it makes the redlining map come to life. And I would encourage you, it's no longer in display in my office, but it is now on display at St. Clair Community College on the 2nd floor outside the Vice President's office. I'm not sure what building, but it's an amazing piece of art. There's a line from a song that was written by John Lennon that goes, "Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans." I never grew up planning to be county auditor. It was not my intention to be someone who sold dog licenses for a living. I did not plan on having my name on every gas pump in the county. That was not my plan. But I've been in local government now for more than 40 years, more than 30 years in the county auditor's office, and more than 20 years as the county auditor. And so I do have my name on every gas pump in the county. And but it's been an amazing experience, and you can imagine that over that period of time, I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of government has advanced, a lot of technology has changed, the laws have changed, people have changed. And so I just want to highlight a couple of the experiences I've had over the past 20, 30 years. First of all, I'll talk about the homestead exemption program. When the state of Ohio expanded the homestead exemption program first, we signed up in my office 30,000 property owners over a 3-month period. It was an amazing accomplishment, and it was the right thing to do. And the wrong thing to do was for the state legislature to roll that back. And so now we have a really inequitable situation where we have some people who are eligible for it and are still getting the exemption, and some people that are not eligible. And it's very unfair, and I would certainly support the legislature going back to eliminating the income restrictions for the homestead exemption. Skimmers. When we discovered illegal skimmers on gas pumps, and the Montgomery County Auditor's Office took the lead statewide to inform people and raise awareness of that, to get those illegal devices off the gas pumps and protect consumers. It was one of the highlights of my career as auditor, and I'm really proud of my staff, how we stepped up and took on that issue and made a real difference, not only here in Montgomery County, but throughout the state. And finally, the tornado. I mentioned our GIS department. After the Memorial Day tornado, our GIS department stepped up and provided and was able to generate a comprehensive, detailed map that identified the properties that had been in the path of the tornado and the degree of which destruction was there. And it allowed us to provide hundreds of property owners with a very deserving tax break. No one should have to pay taxes on a home that's been destroyed, right? And so we were able to make that happen, and I'm just really proud of the work we did. To me, being county auditor is all about leadership and service. It's about safeguarding public tax dollars. It's about protecting consumers. It's about protecting property owners. And I think during the course of my career, I've demonstrated the kind of leadership and service that I bring to the office and what I hope to continue to bring to the office. And again, I'm here tonight to ask for your vote and your support. You've always been good to me. I appreciate the check I got earlier. You mentioned it. I appreciate that and appreciate your support, and I hope I can continue to count on that now through November. Thank you. 2 seconds.
Very quick question.
Thank you all. Thanks.
Well done.
All right, so from a veteran campaigner, we now move on to a very brave young lady. Meg Obermann is running for state representative for District 37 as a write-in candidate. She saw her ballot and saw it was empty and said, I'm going to do something about this. And we couldn't be more proud of her, the way she stepped up. So Meg Obermann.
She's going to use the podium too. Like Allison said, I didn't plan to be here. In July, I did not see this being my autumn, but I ordered a mail-in ballot because I was going on vacation in August and I wanted to vote in the primary. I opened it and state representative was empty. And I said, okay, maybe it's fine. I'm gonna check out who my opponent is. I guess I wasn't calling him that yet. I looked him up, his name is Tom Young, and then I looked up his voting record. And I was angry. I called my husband, I'm like, we're moving. And we're not gonna do that. We changed our mind. Well, I changed my mind, he was never gonna move. So a few days passed and I was trying to figure out, what happened, what can I do about this? And then I started looking on the Montgomery County Board of Elections and I saw the schedule. And I saw that there was still time to be a write-in candidate for the general election. And everybody was like, you probably don't want to do that. And by everybody, I mean my 2 friends that I told. My husband was on a business trip. So I went and filed, and when he got back, I was like, I did something. I kind of thought it was just a statement at that moment. But then I went on my vacation, and I was there, and every day I thought about it, and I got more angry. And every time I got mad about it, I emailed another organization. I emailed a lot of organizations, and shockingly, they all got back to me. I mean, like, they all responded. Allison was fantastic. Blue Ohio called and said, you know, we only fund Democrats, and I'm technically unaffiliated because I'm a write-in. And they said, but we checked your Twitter. You're a Democrat. So they've been funding the campaign. It's been and this is key, I found the women who were behind the Centerville School Board win last year. And they said, we can do this. And they meant it. So I have signs on order. We launched our website today. We have thousands of postcards in the works. We're going door to door. We may not win, I'm a write-in candidate, but we are going to make Tom Young wonder. And if I have anything to say about it, we will win. So, I'll tell you a little bit about myself now, because that was just about my journey to this moment. I'm in educational publishing. I've been in educational publishing for a decade. I write and edit textbooks, mostly ELA and social studies. I'm not a lawyer. I'm an English major and sociology major. I went to Ohio University for my undergrad and Wright State University for my master's degree. I did a little bit of teaching and I wasn't sure where I wanted to go, and then I started playing for Gem City Roller Derby. And there were a lot of professors there. I mean, skating is fun. I actually met several people from the educational publishing industry there, and that is how I ended up in this career. I've written for all of the major textbook companies. I've written for Texas and Florida and California and Ohio. So I'm very familiar with education standards. And also, just in the last months, I've watched things go from, well, we need diversity, equity, inclusion, something that we've been working so hard on for the last 2 years, to, well, some states are backing off of that whole thing. And I'm like, what whole thing? So I've watched the textbook companies fear laws like passed in Florida and like we have right now facing us in Ohio. So the bill that really brought me here was House Bill 480, the total abortion ban, which Tom Young co-sponsored. The day Roe fell, it was my husband's 40th birthday, and we were supposed to be celebrating, and I was in a mood. I was furious. I emailed all my clients. I told them, hey, I don't do things on Fridays anymore. I'm going to be working on this situation. And they were all very supportive. Every Friday since then, I've been writing postcards for campaigns. I've been looking for places to volunteer. And now I'm here. So I'm still learning a lot about the office. I'm learning a lot about the positions that are going to be necessary to make sure Ohioans have what they need. Is it time or, okay, that's all. I'm still learning.
Fantastic if Meg and Addison could hold hands and go on to commanders. 36 and 37, that would be amazing. So let's make that happen. Don't forget, write those postcards. Now, someone who doesn't need any introduction either, and that is our wonderful County Commissioner, Carolyn.
All right, so I'm going to start off by making it clear I have never been a lawyer. Like Karl, I never thought I would be doing what I am today. My journey is a tad bit different than yours, but there's more similarities than you can possibly imagine. I won't go into that. Many of you know my long history, but I would also say I hope that others in this room get the spark, and in the future I will see you running for office. So I'll just start with that. And what I will tell you is that I have now been in public service for 16 years. That's after a whole private career, sector career, and I won't go into all of that. I can talk to you individually about that. But this is by far the best job I have ever had. And I loved being the county treasurer for 12 years. I did.
She was good.
But I love this so much more. And why would that be? Because as a county commissioner, we get to make a difference in so many ways. Now, I spoke to all of you a few months back, maybe not everyone in the room, but quite a few of you. So I will not spend the time that I spent with you then explaining what the county does. What does a county commissioner do? That's a big question that I have. I won't go there, but to give you an idea of the size and scale of what we do, our budget for this year is $1.2 billion. That's big. We have 4,200 employees. That's big. We are one of the major employers in this region. And I will just tell you that 40% of that goes to human services, social services. Many people never, thankfully, never have to use those, so they're not aware of it. But more than 57,000 of our citizens rely on that support. So the work that we do, that's the biggest chunk. We also, think of the three of us, there are three. I am the only one on the ballot this year. My two colleagues will be on during the presidential year. Karl and I are really the only two countywide electeds who are on this cycle. And in the past, it's been a little difficult for us because unfortunately a lot of Democrats don't vote every election. And so we're hoping that that'll start changing. The Republicans have given us money reasons to show up. Nonetheless, it's been a tough 4 years, my first term in office. We've been through, I mentioned the tornadoes, we had a KKK rally. We had, Valentine's Day, I just been in office 6 weeks and they had the first water outage in years that we had to bring up the emergency management department, you know, to, what do we do? The whole northern part of the county was without water. It turned out to be a good thing because it was a practice for what was to come later in the year. We also had a mass shooting that year that was, you know, terribly, tragically happened that year, and then COVID. Now, I will tell you, I am grateful that I was in office during this time because I think you want leaders like myself who have the experience, the leadership, and get results, but also have a huge heart. I think it's very, very important, and we're very innovative and creative in this community. The Wright brothers and all of that, it's in our DNA. And troubled times, we addressed it. We took our services and you don't have to come to us. One of our themes is to take it to you. I will also tell you that one of my major legacies, even if I wasn't re-elected on November 8th, which is not going to happen, and with your help, I actually want it to be my best one yet, is the land bank. When I came into office as the treasurer, we were, Karl, we were buddies on this. The foreclosure, we had predatory lending in Ohio, we had vacant and abandoned properties. I got to work on being even though I was not in the legislature, I got to advocate for it, got to be there when the governor signed it, got to testify. Then I got to run it initially when we created it here. And I have been on the chair of the land bank board all these years. We are now 11 years old. We have brought more than $50 million to this community to take down blight. We are not near done. Great things are happening. We now have a full force, and it has made a difference. So housing is something I care deeply about, and the homeless. And as a county commissioner, I have a whole breadth of things that I care about deeply. 5 seconds? So come see me afterwards. But you know me, and you know that once I roll up my sleeves and decide I'm going to stick with an issue, I will see it through. Even if I don't solve it, I will move it in the right direction, and I will work with all of you to make that happen. Thank you, and please vote for me.
Carolyn is the Energizer commissioner. If you are a Facebook friend of hers, it exhausts you just the little photographs of where she's been and what she's done. We think she's one of our heroes indeed. And last but not least, we have another judicial candidate, Tony Schoen, who is running for judge in the Common Pleas Court. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. It's unfortunate the closing act has to be an unimaginative attorney. So. One of those things, I guess, that's just something for you. So I'm very proud to be here. I appreciate the invitation to be here. This was actually my childhood library. I grew up at 235 Triangle. If anybody knows who lives at 235 Triangle, I'd love to get a sign in the yard for nostalgia purposes. And if anybody was looking for Romancing the Stone or Juvenile in 1988, I had it out on VHS. Big Michael Douglas fan. But I grew up here in Oakwood until I finished second grade. We moved over to Kettering. I'm one of 5 children. My mom grew up on the east side of town, one of 7 children. My wife also is one of 5 children. Interestingly enough, grew up in the exact same neighborhood as I did. She grew up on Hadley, and then she moved to Kettering around the same time frame. We ended up going to St. Albert's School together. I went to Alter High School. She went to CJ High School. We reconvened at Ohio University where we started dating. At that point in time, I was a little better looking than I was in high school. So I was actually a year older than her, and I graduated with a degree in finance and business law. I did not know I was going to go to law school. I did not have a clear path. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I ended up moving to Chicago and working in business, and she entered medical school at Ohio State. At that point in time, being long distance, we knew we wanted to be together. I knew I was much worse than her, so I was going to be the one who moved. So I got engaged and moved to Columbus. In Columbus, we got married. We've been married now for 20 years. I worked while she was in med school until she finished. At that point in time, I was actually studying philosophy, trying to be a PhD in philosophy, which is a little more imaginative to but my wife had told me, like, I am not moving around the country for you to be a philosopher. So I took the LSAT. I got into Ohio State Law School. I initially thought I wanted to do criminal work. I worked after my first year doing criminal work for a criminal defense attorney. After my second year, I worked at a civil firm doing civil litigation. When we were in my third year and I was finishing up, my wife was pregnant with our first child. We knew we wanted to get back to Dayton. We now live in a neighborhood. We moved right next door to my parents, which I enjoy and I don't think she does. We moved there. I started working in a firm called Esrati Plus, which does business litigation. I did that for several years. My wife was pregnant with our second child, and she sat me down and said, "You're never around." And I agreed. I was not around. She encouraged me to go out and do something that I enjoyed more. I had done a public defender's program at Faruqi, and I really liked doing criminal work. And I said at that point in time, I'm leaving this position, and I'm going to go out and start out on my own. And I did criminal defense, and I was enjoying that. The cases moved quicker. It was a different experience. I still envied my wife, though, as a doctor, that at the end of the day, it seemed like she was getting, help for people to improve their health. And this is not me saying defense work does not help people, because it definitively does. But growing up in this community, when I was approached by somebody at the prosecutor's office saying, "Hey, would you like to look into being a prosecutor?" It was something that appealed to me because I wanted to come home and feel like if I do this job right, I can keep the community that we live in safe. And that was something that appealed to me. I applied. I've been at the prosecutor's office the last 11 years. Various supervisory roles. I will not go through all of those because I only have 5 minutes. But either way, the reason I say all this is because Common Pleas Court, I'm running for Judge Cromwell's seat against a woman by the name of Kim Melnick. And you handle civil cases and you handle criminal cases. And I've handled all those types of things. So I have the experience where I've done the civil litigation, where I've done the criminal defense, where I've done the criminal prosecution. And I can look at everybody who comes into my courtroom in the eyes, the practitioners specifically, and be able to understand what their stresses are, what's going on in their cases, and make the proper decisions in those cases. That's what Common Pleas Court is. And we need judges that are going to make those decisions and be involved in the communities that they live in. And I've been involved in the communities as a volunteer. I coach year-round. But you have to have your pulse on the community, and you have to do what's right for the community. And my opponent is running as a judicial conservative. That's what she calls herself. She defines herself as a judicial conservative. I don't really know what that means outside of what her definition is, because it really doesn't matter to what the seat is. But the thing she's saying is that we live in a dangerous community, and there's people who come here to commit crime in this community. And we got to do something about that. And I think that's fear-mongering, because I don't look at this community that way. I grew up in this community. I'm proud of this community. I want to serve this community. And we don't serve the community by taking nonviolent people and incarcerating them. So there's a time for incarceration. There's a time for not. I don't have time to tell you about that. But at the same point, I thank you very much for your attention tonight. And thank you so much for letting me close this out.
Wonderful candidates, entertaining as well as brilliant. So this has been great. If there are any questions for any of the candidates, or what we can do is, we need to be out of here by 8:45 with our chairs, as I've been told, carefully stacked on their little stacking machine things. So if you would like to just spend the next 30 minutes just doing one-on-one and just chatting with the candidates or with each other. Don't forget the signs. Don't go home without them. There will be more, and I know Angelina probably has signs that will be coming to Vicky's house.
And I think we have stuff around. Like I have my card and different things. If you don't get to talk to me, feel free to get that.
There are a number of sign-up sheets for different candidates. There's literature here that you can pick up and take with you. The best thing you can do, and I think this totally shows that we have excellent candidates. Every one of them really worth voting for and promoting. And there is nothing that gets a vote better than an individual talking to an individual and saying, you know what? I met those candidates. They were amazing. I have confidence in them. And that's a good way to do it. Yes?
Is anyone here from the Board of Elections that can answer the question?
I don't believe there is any.
Or maybe already knows. I had heard that the absentee ballots are being delayed for some reason. Does anyone know what the story is on that?
The Secretary of State has mailed them out.
Yeah.
The application.
They won't send it back, so.
The only thing that I can imagine. The absentee ballot itself cannot be mailed out to the 12th.
Do we
I don't know anything else.
redistrict state yet? Does anyone have an answer to that?
I really don't know what is going to happen, although the Supreme Court of Ohio deemed that the redistricting that we are running on at this time was unconstitutional. And then, they were given time. Lucy.
The League of Women Voters is presenting a program at the Dayton Public Library on Tuesday, September 20th, that will go over redistricting, what has happened, where we are now. The public is invited, it's free, please come.
Where is it?
Main library.
The main library downtown, 6 o'clock, Tuesday, September 20th. Redistricting, what it means to you.
Yeah, the federal court opposed the map.
They opposed it
No, they made it effective for 2 years.
for 2 years.
Yes. For just this election.
For just this election.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got a silly question, and I think the judges might be able to answer this, but when the Supreme Court holds the members of the redistricting committee in contempt, what recourse or what consequences are there for those people on that committee when they're held in contempt?
That's the problem. That's why the legislature, the commission is
apparently done.
coming
You know, so contempt, holding somebody in contempt, there's limited things that can be done, from a fine to like a certain number of days incarceration, is my understanding. But
I'm okay
it's
with
not being
incarceration.
done. So nothing seems to be being done for them being held.
But they never did it with the education either years ago. The Supreme Court said that they were not doing.
But let me point out, if we can elect a Democratic governor and Democratic Secretary of State, then the Republicans will not have a majority on the redistricting commission, and they will not be able to force through a gerrymandered plan.
That's right. You know, and as we've talked about, since it is still gerrymandered, you know, the Republicans probably will still have the majority up in Columbus. But if we can get people like Meg and Addison in there, if we, you know, because, you know, and LaRonda in District 39, she is now going against Phil Plummer in a district that is a D+3, I believe. And so, you know, we need to support her as well, because we won't get the majority, but if we get enough to stop there being a super majority, then they can't override vetoes. So, you know, we just have to give everything we've got to these folks who are in districts that are winnable.
Well, can you explain how the write-in process works?
The write-in?
When you're going to vote, how does that work? For
Well,
write-in?
Meg will be able to talk to you about that.
So there will only be a write-in line if there's a certified write-in candidate. I am now certified as of like a week ago because the board met and they agreed that I could be a candidate. So on the ballot, you would see a circle with Tom Young, and underneath it would say Republican, and then underneath there would be a bubble and a blank line, and then underneath that it says write-in. So you fill in the bubble and you write my name, or if you're on a voting machine, you fill in the bubble and a keyboard pops up and you can type it in.
It's not multiple choice, you have to.
You have to know the name.
Will we have Meg on our little cheat sheet?
She will not be on ours because we're District 36. You will have Addison, and my letter to you is getting ready to be folded tomorrow. So I've got all the candidates on there and everything, so keep that. That's your sheet. We also have another representative from League of Women Voters, because we have lots of League people, and she has brought some of these QR code register to vote signs. So please go ahead, especially if you live somewhere on a major thoroughfare. People just need to scan the QR code and they will be able to get that information. So please don't forget to take one of those along with
Can I ask you, in regards to that, does that also tell you and reaffirm that you are registered to vote as well? If you get onto that website, if you have children that are now able to vote and they're not sure if they actually registered and you want to confirm all that, does it do the same thing? What I remember is yes, it does. Okay.
And can I just recommend, I've got it on my phone and it's really easy. It actually, you put in your county and it directs you to that. It's an app called Ohio Voter Info, and you can look up anybody's name and you put your name in there and it comes up with your House District 36 and your Congressional District 10 and your school district, blah, blah, blah. It's got all of your information, but you can also put anybody's name in and it will tell them where they go to vote, their precinct number. You can track your mail-in ballot on it. So it's really useful. You can do all this on Montgomery County Board of Elections website, but this is just an app that you can just tap and you're into it immediately. So it's called Ohio Voter Info. And it's just a handy-dandy little thing that you can have and help other people use that too. Just a quick, our meeting in October actually will be on a strange day as well. We don't get back from England till October 20th. And I tried to book for the following Wednesday, the 26th. They were already booked. So it will be Tuesday, October 25th, our next meeting. So we'll send you a reminder as soon as we get back, when we wake up and get over jet lag. So, but we'll send you a reminder, and it was on the email. For those of you who maybe aren't members of the South Dayton Democratic Club, as Tim said, really easy. Go on montgomerydems.org, just join the group. $12 it's for all this entertainment you can't. So it's a good, for a year, yeah, it's better than the movies. So, all right, so we've got, about 20, 25 minutes if you just want to come and talk to